Today I'm going to discuss the most beautiful poem from the BA program students is processed by the Shrikant Verma. The poem Priya Prakriya was published in the Hindi anthology Jal Sagar in 1973. This was translated from the Hindi language and published in the signature language. 100 poet Indian poets 2000 with the title process. So this poem is very beautifully published in the Hindi language and 100 Indian words, 2000 with the title words and the process poem by Shrikant Verma. The poet highlighted the predicament of the individuals in society who became a part of such opinion, which go against their own fundamental beliefs and principles and often resulting in disastrous consequences. So the poet highlight the predicaments of predicament of the individuals in society who became a part of such opinion. So यहाँ पे जो poet है वो highlight कर रहा है like predicament like society have a predicament for all the things like they predict everything before the situation and before the result. So everyone have their predictions and about their predictions the poet is highlighted individuals in the society like when someone individually against the prediction of the group of the society and what is happened and what was happened in the histories and this is the main concern of the poem and which is written by the Shrikant Verma and the whole discussions in the poem and the what are the mentality and what is the actions of the individuals against the society and when someone have his own prediction against the group of the society and what is happened is discussed in the poem. Which go against their own fundamental beliefs and principles and often resulting in disaster consequences. So when someone have a individual's right in the society and individual's right in the country and when he and she goes against the group opinion, group predictions according to his and her fundamentals beliefs and principle and which kind of a result of that and which kind of a disastrous consequence of that is discussed in the poem. In the poem, the case of the speaker in which he do so either out of the fear or wanting to belong to a particular social, religious, culture, and economic or caste group. So in the poem, the case of the speaker, जो केस है स्पीकर का जिसमें he do so either out of the fear या तो उसने अपने डर से बाहर निकल के उसने ये चीज़ करी है and wanting to belong a particular social, religious, culture, economic और caste group. So और कभी ग्रुप के साथ बिलोंग होकर के उसने इस चीज़ को अटेम्प्ट किया है when he has his own opinion according to his fundamental belief and principles. When everyone said hell, the speaker in the poem also said hell. The speaker, like everyone else, said this not because he wanted to, but uh, because he was afraid, just as everyone afraid. So when everyone said hell, the speaker in the poem also said hell. The speaker, like everyone else, said this not because he want to, but because he was afraid, just as everyone. So, um, like everyone said hell, he also said hell. These lines means that the poet has his own opinion according to his fundamentals, principles, and beliefs, but he was afraid, like just other afraid, going against the group of the cultural society and religious groups and and etc. So he afraid to in the he was really was to say something against the group of the cultural society and the religious society, but he was afraid, like everyone was afraid to go against the group opinions and their fundamental beliefs and principles. In the same manner, he also followed them and said hell. The society in which we live consists of many groups based on the religious, cultural, linguistic classes and affiliation. Sometimes on certain issue too there could be friction between the groups, and this could lead to animosity and confrontation between people belonging to two different groups. The society in which we live consist of many groups based on religious, cultural, linguistic, class affiliations. Sometimes on certain issues too there could be friction between the group, and this could lead to animosity and confrontation between the peoples belonging to different groups. So in this paragraph, how the frictions mm, could be between the groups, and this could lead to the animosity and confrontation between the people belonging to the different groups, and who are belonging from the different kind of religious, culture, and linguistic classes affiliations. So everyone have their own fundamental beliefs and principles, and due to that, there could be frictions between the groups. Though now in the next paragraph, sloganery is uh, sloganery is one way in which people belonging to one group to try to gain support for their point of views and also assert their power and strength whilst other group. When we are complete disagreement with the majority views of the group to which belong, we still endure it and not do not express our differences. So yeah, in this next paragraph, we comes to know that how we the people are afraid going to against the group opinions and their beliefs, and they really wants to say something. They really wants to express their opinions, but they really feel afraid of them because they are because every group have a their own opinion, which are made up uh, which are made up by the religious culture, different kind of linguistic and affiliations, and if we go against them, there could be a disastrous consequence of that. So that's why a poet is afraid to express his own point of views uh, against the society and their different kind of religious groups. The silence sometimes lead to tragic consequences. When Snare's rational voice choose to remain silent because of fear, then irrational, aggressive voice take over and create mayhem. So, in this paragraph, the poet is saying that sometimes the silence consequence is very tragic and disastrous, and when Sneha's rational voice choose to remain silent, when someone choose to remain silent because of fear, then because of fear, irrational aggressive voice take over and create mayhem. So जो irrational और एक एग्रेसिव वॉइस है ग्रुप की, वो उन्हें टेक ओवर कर लेती है व्हेन समवन afraid to express their own point of views and their beliefs in front of any kind of religious group which is based on the religious and linguistic languages and cultural, and and their result could be a disastrous and remaining silence in front of any kind of religious group. The name of Aziz in the poem hint at the some kind of communal tension which, as you know, has plagued our nations. But this, however, is not central point of interest in the poem. The name of Aziz in the poem hint at the some kind of communal tension. So Aziz is a Muslim, is belonging from the Muslim community, and is also hint of the some kind of a communal tension, which, as you know, has plagued our nations. So everybody is knows that the Hindu Muslim uh, like violence and their point of views, their beliefs are different, and um, this is some kind of a communal tension in our nation. Islam, that's why everybody knows about that. The communal tension between the Muslim, Hindu Muslim groups and their religious point of views and beliefs and etc. But this, however, is not a central point of interest in the poem. So this is not a central point of interest in the poem, but a poem have hinted the communal tension by taking the name of Aziz. Everyone is saying Aziz is my enemy. The speaker in the poem concurred with the other, just like everyone else says, as choose not to open his mouth. So when everyone says is Aziz is my enemy, the speaker in the poet concurred with the other, and just like everyone as choose not to open his mouth, like everyone not saying anything about this concept, he also choose to remain silent, and he is also he is not open his mouth. The consequences of the targeting an individual or group by a more dominant voice aggressive group invariable result in tragedy. In this case of more fancy of which the speaker is also a part of resulting result in killing of Aziz. तो यहाँ पे जो consequence है उसके बारे में बात की गई है. The consequence of targeting an individual or group by a more dominant and vocal and aggressive group invariable result in tragedy. So जो कॉन्सिक्वेंस होता है किसी भी इंडिविजुअल ग्रुप को टारगेट करने का या फिर किसी इंडिविजुअल पर्सन को टारगेट करने का, जो उसका रिजल्ट होता है वो बहुत ही डिजास्टर्स होता है. And when the group is very dominating, and when a person is very dominating, and naturally he take over the low one and weak one group, and in the same sense, by a more dominant and vocal aggressive group invariable resulting in tragedy. So इसका रिजल्ट जो होता है डिजास्टर्स होता है और ट्रेजेडी में कन्वर्ट हो जाता है. इन दिस केस ऑफ द more frenzy of which the speaker is also a part of resulting in killing of Aziz. So यहाँ पे killing of Aziz के बारे में बात की गई है. When nobody is ready to open his mouth, uh, and everybody says that Aziz is my enemy, and the resulting is very disastrous. The killing of, in the sense of the killing of Aziz. So the conclusion is there that the speaker who has participated in the first three action mentioned in the poem how was a delicate participant, and did it out of fear like so many others. सो वैसे तो स्पीकर एक मतलब पार्टिसिपेंट रहा है थ्री एक्शंस का which is mentioned in the poem in the above paragraph, but he did it out of with the fear, where like everyone did it. He opened his mouth, but with the fear in front of the religious group which is based on the culture and the linguistic and affiliations. So this kind of sense is here, how the pupils and the individual groups are afraid to make and make their own fundamental beliefs and point of views in front of the religious groups and cultural groups and linguistic groups and affiliations, because they were afraid of them, and naturally a more aggressive and dominated group will take over the weak and individual groups naturally. So this kind of discussion is here in the poem, And I hope you like this video, which is very important according to your point of views. So now we are going to discuss the question answer. Do you think the title of the poem is the appropriate? What are the various meaning it reflects? So यहाँ पे बात की गई है कि जो टाइटल है पोयम का वो बहुत अप्रोप्रिएट है. व्हाट आर द वेरियस मीनिंग इट रिफ्लेक्ट. सो इसका क्या मीनिंग, बहुत सारी मीनिंग्स जो है रिफ्लेक्ट हुए हैं. So first of all, you have to write the introduction of the poem, and the writer introduction is very important. The poem Prakriya was published in the Hindi anthological saga in 1973. This was translated from the Hindi language and published in the signature 100 Indian Poet 2000 with a title process. So in the press paragraphs we have discussed about it, and in the next May, the poet highlighted the predicament of the individuals in the society who becomes a part of such opinion which go against their fundamental beliefs and principles and often resulting in disastrous consequences. So when someone is trying to say something in front of a religious groups which are based on the cultural groups, and the result is very disastrous because they have their own beliefs, and if they are very dominating and aggressive, they take over the individual groups, and that's why everyone is afraid to say something in front of a religious and cultural groups in the society. In the poem, the case of a speaker in which he do so either out of the fear or wanted to belong a particular social and religious culture, economic caste and group. So इसमें बात की गई है कि जो स्पीकर का केस है इसमें ही डू सो आइदर आउट ऑफ द फियर एंड वांटेड टू बिलोंग अ पर्टिकुलर सोशल एंड रिलीजियस कल्चर, इकोनॉमिक और कास्ट ग्रुप. ठीक है, उसने भी मतलब ये एक्शन किया है बट विद द फियर ऑफ टू नॉट टू ओपन हिज माउथ. When everyone said hell, the speaker in the poem is also said hell. So now he is dominated by the group. He is not able to express his point of view. The speaker is like everyone has said, this is not because he wanted to, but because he was afraid, just as everyone afraid. ठीक है. The society in which we live consists of many groups based on the religious, cultural, linguistic, classes, affiliations, sometimes on certain issues. There could be a friction between the groups. So जो different groups बने होते हैं यहाँ पे frictions भी होती है because they have their own opinions, they have their own fundamental rights and beliefs. So there could be a friction between the groups which are based on the religious, cultures, and linguistic affiliations. This could be lead to the anxiety and confrontation between the people belonging to the different groups. Sloganeer is in one way in which people belongs to one group and trying to gain a support for their point of views and also exert their power and stress wise other groups. So when someone is making able to himself um, in eligible with the strength and power in the comparison of the other groups, and when we are complete disagreement with the majority group of the views, and majority views of the group into which belong, we still endure it, but not but do not express our differences. So here this is a difference. The silence sometimes leads to the tragic consequences. When someone is not ready to not ready to open his mouth, the other dominated group and aggressive group naturally take over the group, and the result is very tragic consequences. So यहाँ पे एक एग्जाम्पल दे रखा है अजीज का, who is the which expresses a kind of a communal tension in the nation. So everybody knows that Hindu Muslim like rights and all that thing, both have their own fundamental rights and all that things, and um, which, as you know, has plagued over nations. And but this, however, is not a central point in the interest of the poem. And when everyone says is Aziz is my enemy, and in the poem conquered with others, just like everyone says, choose not to open his mouth. So Aziz is my enemy. Everyone saying that. So the speaker is also saying that Aziz is my enemy because he is afraid to open his mouth. The consequences of targeting an individual and group by a war dominating vocal aggressive group invariably resulting in tragedy. In case of the Mozarbe, of which the speaker is also a part of the physical killing of Aziz. So conclusion is also important. The speaker who has participated in the first three actions mentioned in the poem, how was